If I say that the world is round and someone else says it's flat, that's worth reporting. But you might also want to report on a bunch of scientific evidence that seems to support the notion that the world is round. But you might also want to report on a bunch of scientific evidence that seems to support the notion that the world is round.
I'm Neil deGrasse Tyson, bitch. The Earth looks flat because 1, you're not far enough away at your size. 2, your size isn't large enough relative to Earth to notice any curvature at all. It's a fundamental fact of calculus and non-Euclidean geometry. Small sections of large curved surfaces will always look flat to little creatures that crawl upon it. But this whole thing is just a symptom of a larger problem. There's a growing anti-intellectual strain in this country that it may be the beginning of the end of our informed democracy. But of course, in a free society, you can and should think whatever you want. If you want to think the world is flat, go right ahead. But if you think the world is flat and you have influence over others, as would successful rappers or even presidential candidates, then being wrong becomes being harmful to the health, the wealth, and the security of our citizenry. Discovery and exploration got us out of the caves, and each generation benefits from what previous generations have learned. Isaac Newton, my man, said, if I have seen farther than others, it's like standing on the shoulders of giants. So that's right, B.O.B. When you stand on the shoulders of those who came before, you might just see far enough to realize the Earth isn't flat. And by the way, this is called gravity.
Obama out. We're trying to move towards the future. They want to be stuck in the past. We've heard this kind of thinking before. Let me tell you something. If some of these folks were around when Columbus set sail, they must have been founding members of the Flat Earth Society. They would not have believed that the world was round.
And in fact, in the last instant before these black holes coalesce, it is radiating so much energy, it is more energy than all the stars of the universe combined. Valentine Productions. Or half to one of each side. And if someone says the Earth is round and someone says the Earth is flat, at some point you're going to make a judgment. The Earth is flat, people, is just flat out wrong.
It's a pole. So it's not actually a sphere. It's oblate, and officially it's an oblate spheroid. That's what we call it.
A little chubbier.
A little chubbier.
Yeah.
Chubby's a good way. It's like pear-shaped.
Bob, the total number of quarks in this universe are 6. 6 quarks. It's unpredictable. Well, so yeah, it's one of the world's greatest seismic detectors.
Officially, it's an oblate spheroid. That's what we call it. But not only that, it's slightly wider below the equator than above the equator.
A little chubbier.
A little chubbier.
Yeah.
Chubby's a good way. It's like pear-shaped. So, it turns out the pear-shapedness is bigger than the height of Mount Everest above sea level.
So sensitive It can detect quantum vibrations of molecules in the wire that's holding the mirror.
I bet.
Valentine Productions.
This is happening. It's happening now. It's happening faster than scientists had predicted it would, and it's happening to greater degrees than scientists predicted it would. And we need, as responsible leaders, to take account of science, not some cockamamie ideological hypothetical, but science. And we need to make clear that those members of the Flat Earth Society are on the wrong side of history.
Valentine Productions.
You have a rap name? MC Squared.
My friends, these people are so out of touch with science that they believe rising sea levels don't matter because in their view the extra water is just going to spill out over the sides of a flat earth. They're wrong, obviously. For the benefit of those who may still question the 97% of peer-reviewed studies on climate change, let me just underscore, you don't need to be a scientist to know that the earth is round, that the sun rises in the east and sets in the west, and that gravity is the reason that objects fall to the ground. You could pick 100 different examples of simple things that happen every day that reflect science and determinations of science. And you don't need to be a scientist.
Here's the thing. If you had a political faction that insisted that we teach that the world is flat, and it's a conspiracy of scientists and others who publish these pictures where the world was round, after a while, people would insist that you not teach that anymore. Well, let me say that the evidence for the age of the Earth is every bit as compelling. The Earth is 4.5 billion years old, not 6 or 10,000 years old.
You don't talk about the spherical Earth with NASA in it and then say, oh, now let's give equal time to the flat earthers. Plus, science is not there for you to cherry pick.
I'm Neil deGrasse Tyson, bitch.
Like I said, the good thing about science is that it's true whether or not you believe in it. All right? I guess you can decide whether to not believe in it, but that doesn't change the reality of an emergent scientific.
To ask questions. The only part of the question we don't ask is the who.
Who came up with the phrase, mass tells space how to curve. I gotta say this right. No, it's very pithy. Excuse me. There you go. And so now, if you have a disturbance in this fabric of space and time, it will emanate forth as a ripple moving at the speed of light. And that ripple that was discovered and announced today has been traveling through the fabric of space and time for 1.3 billion years. And it is the record of the collapse of a double black hole system coalescing into one black hole. And
We don't have time for a meeting of the Flat Earth Society.
Valentine Productions.
You gotta go.